Alright guys, so this Saturday we actually have a pretty good fight night card, and it's between Cannonier and Caio Borralho. And the undercard is really good too. We got a lot of great fighters. We got some fighters from the Ultimate Fighter having their finale. And in this video I just want to preview this card and give my breakdown and prediction for some of these fights. So let's just get right into it. And the first fight on the main card is going to be between Edmund Shabazian and GM3 Gerald Meerschaert. And I think Edmund Shabazian is going to win this one. He's so young in his career. He's got quite a bit of power. The problem is with his ground game, man. GM3, he's got a very solid ground game. A whole bunch of submissions. He's very dangerous and he's tough. He's been around a long time, but I feel like Edmund Shabazian, at this stage in his career, I think he's going to have things a bit more figured out, and he won't be, getting taken down by Derek Brunson and, TKO'd on the ground. Or the same thing with Anthony Hernandez. I think he's going to learn from that and just be better. And he's also training with some really great fighters like Sean Strickland, Chris Curtis, top middleweights. So I think he should win this, and I could see him ending this by second round TKO. And then we got Neil Magny versus Michael Morales. And in this one, I think I'm going to go with Michael Morales by a stoppage. Neil Magny, he's been around a long time in the top 15 of the welterweight division. He's, respectfully, without any disrespect to Neil Magny, he's kind of like a gatekeeper. You need to go through a guy like that before you go up in the rankings. We've seen it with Shaka Rakhmonov, Ian Gary. But at the same time, he is still, good enough to still beat some of these up-and-coming guys like a guy like Mike Malott in Canada. But I think that Michael Morales, he's very explosive. He's got a lot of power. He's got a good ground game, and he's also training with Bilal Muhammad and Ignacio Bahamondes. And, that's a great striker to have and a great grappler to have. And also just having that confidence of training with a champion like Bilal Muhammad, I think it's going to help him out quite a bit. And he's already got the talent. He's 16-0. And I think he'll finish Neil Magny. And then we move on to the first Ultimate Fighter finale, and we got Con Offaly and Myron Santos. Now, I didn't see Myron Santos' last fight against Giga. I can't remember that dude's last name, but it was the last episode on the show. I didn't see that one yet, but I think that from what he showed in his first fight, he had really great takedown defense against, I think that his name was Cooper something, Edwin Cooper. And he showed great takedown defense. He was, mixing up his targets, going to the head, going to the body very well. And he was able to just fight at a good pace as well. He had some pretty good striking, good pop in his shots. Whereas the Con Offaly guy, he seems like he's a good grappler too. But I think that Myron is gonna have the advantage on the feet and just having a bit more confidence. But mostly I think it's gonna be a pretty competitive fight, and I got Myron Santos winning by a decision. These guys on the show, they're fighting for a contract. Well, actually, regardless, win or lose, they're still going to be in the UFC. It makes no sense. I don't like how they do this, I think that if you win this show, that should be your only way to actually make it to the UFC. If you mess up in the finale and you lose, then, unless it's a great fight like the Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin fight. But if you just lose the fight, you get knocked out, you get submitted, you should not get a UFC contract, because that show is just pointless if that's not the case. But then we got Robert Valentin versus Ryan Lauder, and I think I'm going to go with Robert Valentin. I think he showed that he can knock out his opponents with, elbows, and he was able to dig deep and get a submission. He does get a bit wild, and he is pretty hittable. He kind of reminds me of Yuri Prochazka in the way that he fights, not as great as Yuri Prochazka, obviously, but just the way he is, it kind of reminds me of Yuri. And we got Ryan Lauder, who's just a classic American wrestler. He's got pretty decent boxing. He's got some high kicks here and there, but I think that Robert Valentin might be able to hurt him in this one. He was getting tagged up against the dude he beat in the semifinals, Ryan Lauder, but yeah, I think he might get touched a bit too much and maybe dropped at some point in this fight. But yeah, we'll see. Robert Valentin also gets sick quite a bit. But I think I'm gonna put more trust in him to get this done. And Ryan Lauder looked like he was starting to gas out in some of his fights. Like, he was going heavy on the wrestling early on, and then he started to slow down. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go with Robert Valentin by maybe a third round TKO. Then we got the co-main event between Angela Hill and Tabata Ricci. And Tabata Ricci, like, she's actually only lost one fight in the UFC, and that was her debut against Manon Fiorot, who's about to basically become the next female flyweight champion. And she's moved down to the strawweight division, and she's actually gone undefeated since then. And she's got some good skills. And Angela Hill, she's kind of like a 50-50 fighter. You know, sometimes she'll have a good performance. Maybe sometimes she won't. And I don't know, I can't really trust that to win a fight. You know, it's pretty hard to tell if she's going to win or not. But I think I'm going to go with Tabata Ricci in this one. And I think she's going to win by a decision. And then we've got the main event of the evening, and this is actually a pretty tough one because Jared Cannonier, he's obviously very powerful, very tough. He's got good striking, he's got good fight IQ. And then we got Caio Borralho, who's got good IQ as well. He stays pretty defensively safe. He's like on a 13-fight win streak, I think. And he's got a good ground game, good striking, good speed. He's pretty good, and now he's going up against the toughest guy he's fought in his career, in Jared Cannonier. But he's been calling Cannonier out for some time, which means he was probably preparing to take on him, or maybe he saw like some hole in his game that he could potentially exploit. And yeah, like the reason why I think this is a difficult one to predict is because I think that I would pick Jared Cannonier to beat Caio Borralho 2 years ago for sure. But the fact that, you know, he's 41 years old, he's gone out there and taken a lot of damage in his fight with Nasruddin. He basically like got TKO'd. I thought it could have probably been an early stoppage, but at the same time, I think he would have gotten knocked out probably worse. But yeah, he's gone out there taking a lot of damage. He was getting rocked by Marvin Vettori, Vettori's not really like dropping anyone outside like Jack Hermanson. Like, I think that was his first knockdown in the UFC, and then he hasn't really hurt anyone. But then he hurt Jared Cannonier, so I'm a bit worried about his durability. And also, like, Cannonier could win because, like, you know, Caio, whenever he comes in mid-range, he leaves his chin open in the air, and Jared Cannonier could potentially time him if he's in the southpaw stance and hurt him pretty bad because of that power. I mean, he was able to hurt Robert Whittaker, like, kind of coming in. And also, since Cannonier can, you know, he's a switch hitter, he has those calf kicks open, but at the same time, Caio can use those calf kicks on him. And whenever, you know, he sees Cannonier in the southpaw stance, he can go for a double leg takedown because your defense in one sense might not be as good as the other sense. But ultimately, like, this is a very close fight, but I think I'm going to go with Caio Borralho. I think he's going to win by, I think he might get like a late finish, like in round 4 or 5, like a TKO or a submission. But yeah, like I said, if it was 2 years ago, I would pick Cannonier, but I don't know if I can really trust his durability.